What is going on, guys? It is Wrestlelamia here, back with some more news. Join us now as Wrestlelamia looks at the wildest wrestling news stories and rumors you need to know, including Maryse chewing out The Miz on a live stream, Shayna Baszler responds to being called ugly, Konnan criticizes Kenny Omega, new rules for the WWE pay-per-views, Tony Schiavone's virus problem, and much more. Be sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell for daily wrestling videos. Now let's hit the intro and get straight into the first story. Now our first story looks at Maryse chewing out The Miz on a live stream. Now, anything can happen when wrestlers live stream, or anybody live streaming for that matter, and that's exactly what happened to The Miz when he was yelled at by Maryse for playing video games too loud on Xavier Woods' Up Up Down Down stream while she was on an important Zoom call. Take a look.
I'm trying to do something here.
I'm playing a video game.
I'm trying to concentrate because I have a Zoom meeting and you're not respecting that. Your dad is.
I can't hear what's going on, but I think Miz is getting yelled at.
And you're screaming the whole time.
I'm trying to play this. I'm in the championship.
You're screaming
in the
too loud. I
championship.
can't
just
concentrate.
lost.
Just respect that.
Yes,
Honestly, when I asked you guys to take care of everything, I was expecting
volume.
you to like
Can I get back?
take it over here.
Yes, can I get back to it? Please, please, thank you.
Hey, Miz. Miz.
All right,
Miz.
Hey,
You
Jake-
just got
Jake
schooled
Carter.
twice. You just
Jake
got
Carter,
schooled
did
twice.
you just get scolded?
Yeah.
Did you just get scolded?
Anybody who has a wife knows this, trust me. You don't get to play that many video games when you're married. Now as to authenticity, it might not be real, but it's too good to be a setup. But The Miz didn't get destroyed once, he got destroyed twice in the stream, one by his wife Maryse, and the other by Tyler Breeze.
Miz, I heard that you're going to be in the sequel to No Evil. It's called See No Talent.
I am the most talented person in the world. People leave him alone. Leave him alone.
Oof, anybody got any burn cream for The Miz? Next up, Shayna Baszler responds to being called ugly. Now, wrestlers can get used to being trolled on social media, and in most cases they ignore it. However, on this occasion, Shayna Baszler hit back at a user who called her ugly. When WWE tweeted out Baszler's return on Raw, a user commented, "Not for nothing, but this is ugly. She's the most unattractive woman in the WWE roster." And Shayna wasn't having any of it, replying, "Go watch the Miss America pageant. In the meantime, I'll keep breaking limbs and pulling harder tail than you." A great response and something that shows wrestlers won't tolerate such comments. We wonder if that guy had the balls to say it to her face. Probably not. Next up are the FTR signing with AEW. FTR's Cash Wheeler and Dax Harwood have been putting on some fantastic matches since debuting on Dynamite a few weeks ago, but is this talented team planning on signing with AEW? As right now, they're only working on a handshake agreement. Cash and Dax spoke on Inside the Ropes about their AEW status, with Dax remarking, "The advantage that we have as far as not being officially signed yet is we can look broader than AEW. Obviously the match everyone is waiting for is the Young Bucks. We're waiting for that too. After we beat Kenny Omega and Adam Page and become AEW Tag Team Champions, the next step is to beat the Young Bucks and put on the match that everyone's been waiting for, and then officially we can be called the greatest tag team in the world." Based on the FTR's comments, they want to win the tag team gold from around the world, whether it's in Japan, Ring of Honor, or elsewhere. They've already won everything in the WWE, so that's a moot point. As big a deal as that might be, the endgame is this according to Dax. Ultimately, we want to stack up tag team gold, so before everything's all said and done, people can say, "You know what, Tully and Arn were one of the greatest. Midnight Express were one of the greatest, but FTR is the best we've ever seen." Of course, this interview could just be a smokescreen to hide that FTR's already signed with AEW. There are many other teams in AEW that would make for exciting matches with FTR, whether it's against Proud and Powerful, The Dark Order, or Page and Omega. Do you think they will sign with AEW or tour in other promotions before settling on a permanent home? Next up, an update on Kairi Sane's WWE status. Kairi Sane's status in the WWE has been up in the air with various rumors surrounding what the future holds for one half of the Kabuki Warriors. A story at Tokyo Sports suggests Sane will be making an announcement very soon. Wrestle Talk's Andy Datson provided a summary of the story, noting, Sane will be making some sort of announcement around SummerSlam, which will involve her moving back to Japan. The report does, however, state that she is unlikely to wrestle for any other companies and that a friendly relationship with WWE will be maintained. You may recall that Sane recently told Asuka on Raw Talk that she would like to challenge her for the Raw Women's Championship, and rumor has it she could do so at SummerSlam. Next up, Charlotte Flair says she wasn't ready to debut. As difficult as it may seem to believe, 12-time Women's Champion Charlotte Flair debuted on the main roster back in 2015. She's accomplished so much since her debut, but looking back, she doesn't think she was ready for her call-up. Flair recently appeared on the Bellas podcast and noted, "When we debuted that night, it was just kinda like, here is the one opportunity. Not that you're gonna get another chance, but you have to make an impact tonight. Now that I look back, I feel so unready to be where I was, but it was like a learning process, like growing in front of the audience." The Queen credited the Bellas with helping her understand the importance of star power, and she focused on honing her craft night in and night out until eventually she became the main eventer she is today. Next up, less is more approach to WWE's pay-per-views. Anyone who has watched the WWE's last two pay-per-views knows that the shows have featured less matches than usual, with the events often running around 3 hours instead of the WWE's bladderbusters of 2019, regularly clocking in at over 5 hours including the pre-show. Well, according to Sportskeeda's Tom Colohue, that's because the WWE has a new pay-per-view policy. Speaking on the Dropkicks Discussions podcast, he revealed, "There's been a mandate from the WWE management recently to have longer matches. A part of this is down to the fact that they don't have as many people as they normally would, so they have to stretch things out a little bit. It worked out, I think about a week and a half ago on SmackDown, where they'll just hit all the different divisions, one match for each one, and it really helped keep things hyped up, but obviously they have lost a few people since then. Raw this week was very much built around that as well, so for Extreme Rules, the same rule applies." As always, the WWE has the option of adding last-minute matches, but do you guys prefer WWE's shorter pay-per-view running times? Let us know in the comments down below. Next up is AEW signing more wrestlers. Although AEW boasts a strong roster, AEW President Tony Khan recently discussed the possibility of bringing in even more talent. Speaking to Bleacher Report, Khan explained, "I'd like to keep expanding. I think we found a great roster, but I don't think people should expect that you'll never see more people debuting or that this is it. I think we're constantly evolving. We brought some of the great stars of wrestling in, we've introduced some of the great new stars in wrestling in addition to guys that were household names in wrestling and guys whose names have really grown. What I'd like to do is take the best of what we have, then don't be surprised to see more new people and new faces." AEW has a large roster, especially for a promotion with only 2 hours of weekly television, as well as its YouTube series AEW Dark, and some fans feel it doesn't need any more until it properly utilizes its existing stars. At a time when the company isn't generating any revenue from live events, should it be adding more names to its payroll? We'd like to know your thoughts in the comments down below. Next up, where was Tony Schiavone? Tony Schiavone didn't make it to AEW's Fight for the Fallen special, and according to a report by Dave Meltzer on Wrestling Observer Radio, the reason was simple: AEW's virus testing policy. There's something that happened that I was told that people were tested multiple times. I don't know the whole story, but Tony's test didn't come back, so he was off the show. There were a couple of other people who were missing. I don't know the reason why, but they were missing. So far, it only appears Tony's test results didn't come back, and there's no evidence he tested positive. Next up, FTR Fake News. Now, if you hear a rumor going around that the FTR got injured at Fight for the Fallen, it's not true. Cassidy Haynes at Bodyslam.net is reporting there is no truth to the rumor. Next up is the NWA closing down. Now, there's an update on the National Wrestling Alliance's future with NWA President Billy Corgan denying Raven's remarks made on Hannibal TV that I heard through the grapevine that Billy is not opening it back up and he's disillusioned. However, Corgan issued the following statement. A quick note about the NWA, which I fought for and won ownership of a few years back. We are not shutting down, so please disregard any and all rumor to effect. The NWA is not and will not be for sale, and those talent who are under contract remain under contract for a reason, which is that we at NWA are trying to figure out a way to provide our great fans with wrestling content in a very tough environment. And most importantly, keep our talent safe and the standard of production you've come to expect from us at a high level. Anything else, in my opinion, is unacceptable. So yes, appreciate the interest, appreciate the chatter, but don't appreciate the unsourced rumors and speculation. It's definitely great news to hear that the NWA is not shutting down, especially due to the long heritage it has. Next up, Konnan criticizes Kenny Omega's AEW work. Like many fans and wrestlers alike, former wrestler Konnan is very well aware of Kenny Omega's talents, but recently he criticized his AEW work. Speaking on his podcast, Keeping It 100, Konnan noted, "I think one of the problems is that his promos isn't on the level of other guys' promos, and I don't think that he's been pushed as a star. He's just pushed as another guy who knows how to work like 18 other guys who know how to work." Some of Omega's fans who watched him in New Japan have asked why Omega doesn't seem to be as successful in AEW. However, we recently noted in an interview that he's using his first year in AEW to get other talent over. It's also clear that he's hinting at a heel turn. Plus, his AEW run seems to be mimicking his New Japan run, starting off as a tag team, then growing into a single star. And finally, Chris Jericho's new Demo God shirt. Last but not least, add a new shirt to the ever-growing line of Chris Jericho's merchandise. Jericho, who has boasted about being a draw in terms of the much-coveted 18 to 49 age demographic, now has a t-shirt to proclaim it the new Jericho Demigod edition. Will you guys be copping it? Let us know in the comments down below, subscribe if you haven't already, follow us on Facebook, Instagram and Twitter where we post exclusive lists, and I'll see you next time with some more wrestling content.